Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Change Your Mind podcast. I'm your host, Kris Ashley, and I'm really excited. Today, we are going to talk all about business coaching and how to really scale your business in an incredible way. But first, a couple announcements. Head to the links in the show notes where you will find links to my book, Change Your Mind to Change Your Reality, all of my social media handles. I'm Change Your Mind with Kris pretty much everywhere. You'll see my free workshop on there. You'll see courses, ways to work with me. So please comment, like, subscribe, share, follow me, come say hi. Let's really build this community. Hi, I'm Kris. When I was younger, I went through trauma that caused me to feel broken and lost. But my life changed after I had a spiritual awakening. Since then, I've dedicated my life to studying and learning from masters all around the world that have helped me to create a life of fulfillment and abundance beyond my wildest dreams. Now I'm dedicated to sharing everything I've learned so that you don't have to suffer for decades like I did. I've seen people's lives completely transform, and I share it all right here. Okay, so I'm excited for my guest today. So with me, I have Alyssa Williamson. Alyssa is a 2-time successful business owner, business coach and mentor, brand consultant, and market strategist. She supports female business owners in scaling their business with ease so they can increase their monthly revenue while loving their work and living their own version of freedom, fun, and luxury. She specializes in combining marketing, intuition, and mindset to help her clients become high performers to move from 3K or 5K months and transform their businesses into 10K or 20K months while living their ideal lifestyle. So I imagine all my listeners are agreeing with me. That sounds fantastic. Welcome, Alyssa. I'm really excited to chat with you today.
Thank you, Kris. Yeah, I'm excited too. This is going to be awesome.
Yeah. So, I like to start out asking people what their origin stories are. And I'd love to hear what your 2 successful businesses are and how you learned to scale your own businesses, how you came to be so successful yourself.
Yeah. And so it's funny because I became a business coach because of all of my experiences in my first business. So my first business I founded out of college was a graphic and web design and marketing company. Back in 2009, no one was hiring. And so I come from a family of entrepreneurs and contractors. And so I was like, well, okay, I've got my own business. Pretty much I was getting so many referrals that I was like, why am I trying to find a job? Why am I job hunting? I've got some clients, let's just build that base. And so straight out of college, built my design business. A lot of life lessons came from that. I never thought I was going to be a business coach. And then I formed my business coaching business in 2019 because of the journey I'd had as the business owner, helping people with marketing, helping them with that strategy. I built my design business to 10K months by my second year, but I was working 80-hour weeks. So I was doing exactly what I don't want. I had tons of money, but I had no time. I was burnt out. And then I later went on to get past that, got to 30K months in my design business. But again, I felt like I'd lost all the joy and passion in my business. So that's why I'm like, yes, let's make more money in your business, but let's choose your dream lifestyle as well. And let's find that combination that works best for you.
Well, so how did you end up finding that dream lifestyle? Like, how did you find that balance eventually?
So it was the work that I was doing. So as a designer, I did hire business coaches, and they all helped me through different phases of different pieces that I needed. But the biggest shift was when I actually I did theta healing training and went into the mindset work of it on myself. I never thought I was going to be a coach. I just did this training so I could be a better business owner. Did a lot of subconscious belief block moving. I actually moved. So I moved from the Bay Area, which is very much a rat race in the tech world.
That's where I
live. Up to Eugene, Oregon. And just getting out of that change of pace helped. Having the environment and the community that I didn't have to be a go all the time helped me shift my workaholic tendencies. And then I also did an intuitive success coaching program. So that's why that's a foundation. Even though I help clients with their business strategy and their marketing, I'm like, we still need to work on your subconscious blocks. We still need to work on your activating your intuition. Those, when coming together, bring the magic. let's do your business strategy, but let's also work on you as a business owner so you can show up as your best self. And that's what I did for myself. And that's why I'm like, okay, this works. I've seen it work because I did it and made that change.
Yeah, that's really cool. Thanks so much for sharing your story. So, I know you kind of answered this a little bit, but I'm sure the main question that everyone is wondering is, how do you bring someone from a 3K month to a 20K month? Like, what is the secret there? What can people do right now who are business owners to start to make that shift?
Yes. So a huge thing is first looking at your market and your messaging. What is your niche? Who are you serving? So my challenge was, when I was making my 10K months at 80-hour work weeks, I just started my business, so I had very low pricing. I also had no boundaries. I was accepting everyone because it was money. And so that's one piece of looking at it. Where are you in your business? What are your boundaries? How are you pricing yourself? How can you elevate your services? So my big thing with clients is know your ideal client, like get so fine-tuned and so specific on your ideal client that you then craft your service to be the best solution for them. Because then you can raise your prices because you know you're addressing all of their needs. So it's not just like, hey, I want to raise my prices, I'm just going to start charging more. Work backwards. Going into your niche, your ideal clients, and everyone knows niching, and they're like, well, I've done it before. But it's one of those things that's easy to resist. It's easy to just go surface level. Okay, my niche is this, and then not go beyond that. And it takes a lot of work to keep diving deeper and deeper and to get into the messaging that resonates, get into truly understanding them. But from there, when you know your client so well that you can serve them that way, you're crafting your solution to go deeper, to address all of their needs and be the best solution. So that's one way. You're able to raise your prices. You're serving a very specific market. Another thing that people fear is, oh, well, if I have a niche, I'm very limited. It's not true. You can serve other people. You still attract other clients, but your messaging is pinpointed on those specific clients. So every business is different, but it's often looking at who are they attracting? Who are the clients they're serving? Maybe it's looking at, because my background's designers, I've worked with a lot of graphic designers and creatives. They're doing a lot of one-off projects, and it's looking at how can we turn this into a retainer model? How can we create some recurring income? How can you be serving your clients better, deeper, fuller? So every business is different, and that's where it's like, okay, sometimes it's just mindset. Sometimes that person's mindset's holding them back, and I'm diving in on that, and suddenly they're able to accept clients. I had one client, after working with me, she's like, oh, I didn't realize that I was self-sabotaging. I was not promoting my business. I was not trying to get clients because of fear. I was afraid. I was afraid to grow my business. I was afraid to charge my pricing because I'd had pushback before. And so it's the combination. There's no one solution. And that's why I love working with clients on a personalized basis. I don't do big group programs. It's very much, what do you need? How do we pinpoint it? And how do we make a change and shift? But it's a mix of that business systems, marketing and messaging. And then are you procrastinating? Are you blocking yourself? Are you resisting this growth?
Yeah, that all makes sense. Especially like the ideal client, I've worked with business coaches before, and there's so much work. The first thing they have you do is like work on your avatar, right?
Yeah.
To get like really honed in on your avatar. And I think when you're a coach, that's one of the most difficult things to hone in on, right? Because you're like, I want to help everybody. And I think the raising prices is interesting too. Like we've all read that as you raise prices, it's like a psychological thing. People think your product or your service is more valuable, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're willing to go for it. I remember I was in some free like workshop about, same kind of thing, like raising your monthly income. And the person was like, okay, come up with like every single amazing thing that you want to be able to like give your client, all these things, and then put a price on it. And everyone did it. And he's like, okay, now add a 0 to that. and everyone just freaks the hell out, right? Because it's
Yeah.
like, it's that mindset thing. It's that like, oh, like I'm not worth that, or no one's going to pay that. And it's like, you have these limiting beliefs that come up, right?
Yeah.
Um,
And it
so
actually prevents you from getting clients at that price point. If you've priced your services at a price that you don't feel comfortable with, you're going to block yourself and resist that too. So even though you've raised your prices, you're not going to feel confident, whether it's on the sales call, whether it's in your marketing and messaging to get people there too. So it's always like multiple steps along the process.
So how do you find a client who's willing to pay that amount that you've priced it? Because, as a coach, like so often we hear like, oh, that's too expensive. Oh, I'd love to do this, but I can't afford it. Oh, like I just lost my job. Like all these excuses come at you,
Mhm.
right?
So what I say is your marketing qualifies your results. So the results you have show how your marketing is. If you're getting people that are like, oh, that's too expensive. Oh, I need to do more research. You're getting lower level people. You're not getting the level of people that your product is programmed at. And that's what I find is a lot of like, as you're elevating your business, you get to the next level of client, but people's messaging is still speaking to that lower level client because that's where they're comfortable and
Hmm.
that's where you're attracting. So pretty much if that's the type of answers you're getting, it's telling me, it's telling you, okay, my messaging needs to change. I need to be elevating that to the next level. I'm speaking to problems for people that aren't ready to buy.
Hmm.
What does the person who's ready to buy look like? Because when your product has spoken to exactly what they'll need, they're like, oh, I need this. Like, how do I get started? The high achiever who wants to collapse time, pay someone else to help them do it faster and get it done is the one who will take action, not the one who's sort of searching and being like, oh, well, I'll see what coaching looks like. Well, you know what? I could probably do that on my own still. They don't know what they don't know. And so they've got resistances. It was sort of an exploratory call for them, but they weren't ready to commit or take action. So when you see that, just know that it's something in your messaging that can be adjusted. It needs to be leveled up.
Is there something like keywords or something that you found that speaks to that higher quality client? Because you can't just say in your messaging like, hey, if you're already at this level, right, or you're ready to, like what are those magic words that you've seen?
So it really actually is. You can call them out. You're like I'll do it in my messaging. I'm like, you've hit that level of success. You actually, I was just writing something earlier. Specifically, it was like, you're consistently attracting clients in cash, but you're feeling exhausted and drained. It's time to elevate your message and your business to the next level of services. So calling out exactly where they are and they're feeling. Um, and part of it is I know this because I was at that point where I was like, I hit my goals. I hit like $250,000 in my business, and I was like, I'm bored now. Like, I don't enjoy the work. How do I elevate this? So there are those people that have hit that level of success and they're like, but now what? What? I've lost my passion. I'd rather work with the business owner who's lost their passion than the one who's struggling to even get clients in the door because they don't know how to market. Like, that's a different level of client. So speaking to where they are and really acknowledging that. But again, you have to know them so well to know that. It's not speaking to the client. Like, an example is, I've seen this. People are like, oh, well, if you don't show up for the call, I'm not going to book you again. Like, make sure you show up on time. Or there's the ones that are a reminder, yes, I'm coming. Like, they're constantly making you say, yes, I'm coming. Like, then they're speaking to the person who does no show. The type of, let's just say woman, just because I speak to women, the type of woman who shows up is a woman of her word, doesn't even resonate with her because it wouldn't occur to her not to show up. So they're speaking again, the things they're saying, like, promise me that you're going to show up. Hey, if you no show, the meeting's not going to happen. Like, that's speaking to a lower level of client still.
That totally makes sense. Yeah, that really makes sense. Thanks for giving all those examples. And,
Yeah.
I'm asking this for my listeners, but I'm also so interested in this as a business owner myself. We're all trying to improve all the time. So what are some challenges that you find that most business owners face that are holding them back from reaching that next level?
It is. Even though I'm a business coach and I work only with business owners, a lot of them, we'll work on strategy. So it is messaging and strategy, definitely getting more fine-tuned. Most people do have a niche or target market by the point of working with me. But it's like, okay, how can we get more streamlined, more pinpointed? How do we elevate some of that? But then it comes back to the subconscious beliefs. Like, do you have a fear? It's often like safe. Do you have a belief that it's not safe to be successful or it's not safe to make money? I've worked with clients on very personal subjects to help them grow their business, but we had to clear some of that subconscious blocks, whether it was this life, past life, generational, soul level. So I do dive into that as well when it's necessary. But it's first going into, okay, what's your marketing showing up? How is this messaging showing up? What do we need to do there? And then high performance habits is actually the third part that I work with. Like, how are you showing up each day that supports your goals and dreams? Because it's so easy to get caught up in tasks or distractions or other items as well. So it's like, get your foundation set, let's get your business on track, and then how are you showing up in a business owner each day?
Yeah, and I'm going to ask about each of those things. I definitely want to talk to you about the mindset and the spiritual side. I want to keep going on this business side first while we're on it. So, what are some marketing tactics that you help people with? So, just speaking for myself right now, there's organic social media, there's paid ads, there's like a weekly webinar, all of these kind of things. There's doing events, there's getting on other podcasts. Like what's missing? Like what are some marketing channels that you found that have been really successful for people?
Yeah. So my philosophy is, there's best marketing practices, but it's finding what's best for you. So I don't have this strategy where I'm like, you have to do it this way. No other way works. But I'll be like, here's the best practices, just like in creating a business and business structure. So it depends on, is this a new audience or is this an existing audience that you have? Shifting your messaging. One way that I love is there are free masterclasses and trainings utilizing Facebook groups of your ideal target markets if you don't yet have that base built up, because you can get in front of them. There's specific strategy. You're not trying to, like, no one wants to be sold to. People want to buy, but no one wants to be sold to. So building relationships organically through these Facebook groups, like, I call it the marketing pie. So I dive into with clients, like, here's the marketing pie. Here's all of your options. Here are the best practices. And here are what I recommend. So yeah, let's just say you're elevating your business. I would say something along the lines of, okay, we want to get some free trainings. We want to get you visible. Here's the ways that we're going to get you visible. Here's what I want you to find Facebook groups for. Here's what you're going to promote. And then here's that process that it looks like. And here's creating that funnel. I've done ads, but I don't teach ads. I teach more the organic side of things.
That's cool. And I'm sure people appreciate that. So how quickly are you typically seeing these transformations take place? Like, how quickly does it take you to take someone from 3K a month to 20K a month?
So it depends on the business owner and the level that they're at and how fully they'll embrace the shifts. But I've had clients that are seeing, and it's not always, so there's monetary, but there's also the lifestyle. So I'll have clients seeing lifestyle shifts within the first month or two, because yes, I want to increase your income, but I want you to be living the life that you're living as well. And so that shift can be, I do a 6-month program. So the goal is by the end of within 4 to 6 months, they're seeing that shift, if not sooner. If they implement exactly as I say, you could be seeing the shift in like 2 months. You could be seeing new clients incoming. It's hard. Well, let me go back. You could be seeing new results within the first month, but it's building up the repetition and consistency will happen over the next couple of months. But like, let's say a lifestyle shift. So I had one client who was working till 10 p.m. each night. She was working weekends. I'm like, okay, that has to stop first. You can't grow in your business if you're doing that because you're already maxed out. So within the first month or two, we got her back to finishing her day by 5 p.m., spending her weekends with her grandkids. as we shifted her business. So for me, it's like, okay, yes, the money is always important, but let's get that lifestyle piece coming in too.
Yeah, absolutely. So does this work across the board? Like, have you ever had clients it didn't work for if they followed your system?
Um, pretty much. Really, the only challenge is people who don't want to follow don't want to fully embrace the process.
Yeah.
And that's where resistances come up. So I haven't had someone that didn't work for. The process works when you commit and you take action and you trust. If you're resisting or trying to do other things, it doesn't. It'll slow down. I've had clients that are like, oh, I got what I needed in 3 months. What else do I do? So I work with, well, the reason is because I focus. I work with service-based business owners, those who can control their pricing, those who can control their clients, those who can control their business.
Yeah. And I think, like you said, consistency is so important.
Yeah.
Even, it's so easy for people to look at social media and see people like, I don't know, like Alex Hormozy or even like Tony Robbins, like these huge coaches or these huge successful business owners. But it's like there's years and decades of consistently showing up, consistently making the posts, consistently, showing up for people and doing the work all behind that. So it makes sense. And okay, so
Well, part of it too is like vetting, like making sure I'm working with the clients that can work with my process too. So, and I teach my clients how to do this. I'm like, you need to make sure that they're a good client and a good fit for your program as well.
Okay.
Again, not just accepting everyone because they want to, but who has the right mentality, who has the right, I'm going to do the work, who has the right business model that they want, and that sort of support.
Yeah. So when you say service-based businesses, is it mostly people like you were, like graphic designers, or do you work with other coaches? Who else do you work with? Who's your avatar?
So it is broader in that sense. For a while, I was focusing specifically on graphic designers and creatives, but I also work with I've had interior design clients. One that was more restrictive is financial advisors. I love working with actually women in male dominated fields, because there's also the feminine masculine energy that I'll deal with, how to step up fully as yourself in those fields. I've worked with insurance agents, mortgage brokers. So some things there isn't as much control, but it's the mindset side of things then. But ideally, coaches, consultants, graphic designers, web designers are the ones that will see the best, most dramatic results.
Hey, everyone listening, if you're one of those people and you need some help, reach out to Alyssa. Okay, so anything else you want to say on the business side that I should be asking? Like what else do people typically want to know? What would be helpful for listeners to know?
So as you grow your business, it's looking at your business structure. And again, my philosophy is there are options. What works best for you? I don't believe in a one size fit all, because I think that's my personality too. I'll take something that I see that works and make it my own and adjust it. So as you're expanding your business, you have to look at how are you going to increase more income? You can't just be increasing your hours. I call it agency versus solo, just because that's my graphic design background, but it's building a business. Are you building a business and a huge team? Or are you staying more of a consultant, a solo business, and maybe you've got you're hiring some contractors as support, or are you hiring the business? And so back in my 20s, I read Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad, all about assets and how when you build a business, you're getting paid for other people's time, not your own time. But that's not always the best solution. I went that route with my agency when I was like, okay, I'm going to hire employees. I'm going to have all these people. And I found that didn't bring me joy and passion. Mm. And so as you're expanding, how do you want to build your business? Are you just going to go deeper, work with fewer clients? Are you going to go deeper and work with a broad audience base? That's sort of the coaching thing. Are you going to have a few solo clients? Are you going to have group programs? Are you going to have big passive income programs? Knowing all of that is what you'll need to know to expand to. Or if you've got a team? Are you expanding that you can just hire more people, serve more people, and get more done? You're going to need more managers. You're going to need more managerial experience. What do you want to be doing? Like, people are like, oh, well, when I've got a business, I can go on vacation. You can go on vacation when it's yourself too. You just program your business around that. So that's what another piece I look at is like, what's your ideal business structure? What do you need as you're growing? What do you want your lifestyle to look like? Do you want to travel? Okay, well, let's build that in. What does that mean if you go stay solo? What does that mean if you're building your business, hiring people? What are the commitments either way? What are the pros and cons?
That's really helpful, and I love Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah.
But I totally see how certain models don't fit for certain people. It's all about like what will make you happy and bring you joy and fulfillment ultimately. So what advice do you have for people who are just starting out? Right, they've created their own little startup, their side hustle, whatever it is, and they're in that grinding phase. They're in that hustle phase where things aren't really. Wow, did you see the leaves behind me?
Yeah.
It's like magical.
Yeah.
So they're in that phase where things aren't happening yet, because sometimes with a startup it takes a couple years to see things, right? And people can get really discouraged. And maybe not a lot of money is coming in, or not a lot of clients, and they're on that verge of giving up, or they're feeling frustrated. Like, what advice do you have for those people?
Stand out from the crowd. And I know that's so hard to hear, but do things like shift, look at what all of your competitors are doing, because when you first start out, you are in a larger pool. So what is everyone else doing? How can you be the one that's saying something different? Sometimes that is niching. Sometimes that's with coaches, it's having this bold statement that no one else is saying, like something that makes you different and memorable, because that's what you need to have clients that want to hire you, that want to work with you. And it can be hard because maybe you're still working full time and you've got this business you're trying to launch, and so you're limited in time. Like, can you be networking? Can you be doing these trainings? Can you be doing this? But it's really, how can you stand in your voice and power? And it's gaining that confidence. Maybe it was because I was younger, but as a new business owner, it took me a long time to gain confidence and be like, this is me, this is who I am. You like, take me as I am, and not be everyone's cup of tea or whatever it is. So that would be that'd be like the first step, is stand out, have your own unique voice, and boldly claim the results that you do, and boldly claim what you can help people with.
I think that's such great advice, because you're right. You are in a larger pool, and especially when you're just trying to grow organically through social media, like you can just get lost in the crowd there. It's hard to break through.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, again, that's where consistency comes in too, right? Just staying with it, knowing that success is going to come. It almost seems to come like right when you're about to give up, right? It's like that 3 feet from gold idea.
Yeah.
If you've ever read Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah. And it is consistency. So one thing to remember is that most clients who buy, people who buy, if you're on social media, often aren't liking your posts, but you say the one right thing, you say that one trigger, the timing is right, and suddenly they just buy. Like, they're not liking. So you can't use social media credits or feedback, or you can't use that as your point of reference of whether you're making a difference. You can do it if people are interacting is great, but you can't be like, oh my gosh, I got 100 likes on this, or I got 50 likes on this, or however big your audience is. You just have to trust in the consistency and the energy that you're showing up in and creating it, and just keep diving deeper. A lot of people, marketing, really, one of the coaches I worked with is like, you should be marketing your business 50% of your day. Like 50% is full on marketing versus 50% doing the client work. And that can be really difficult. But the reason is because you can't just create surface level marketing content. No, it's not going to stand up for the crowd. No one's going to buy it. you really do have to spend the time to dive into it and spend time on it and focus it. And whatever your marketing is, whether you're networking, how you're showing up and what you're saying in that networking group, however you're spending your time, be intentional when you're doing your marketing for your business.
I want to like highlight and underline what you just said, because especially the part about social media, because I think that's so important, especially in a day and age where we judge, I don't want to say like our worthiness, but we
Yeah.
judge like how much our message is resonating, I guess we can say, by how many likes or how many engagements or follows we get. And it made me think, I used to work I used to teach yoga teacher training and like run these yoga studios. And we would have regular students all the time. And those were the ones that when I first started, that I thought would join the teacher training, right? Because they were there every day. This was like their thing. They were super consistent, hardcore about it. And it was never those people who joined. It was people who like maybe dropped in for a class once a week and happened to hear about it. And I had never even like noticed before because they were just lost in the crowd. And it blew my mind when I first started. And I feel like that's exactly what you just described.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I've seen both with my clients. Like it'll be out of the blue. Someone's just suddenly like, hey, tell me about this program. Like something you said spoke out to you. Or even how I buy too. Like I've had coaches where sometimes I was following them and didn't even notice, or just they posted an ad or I just came across one of their posts and I'm like, this speaks to me. Like this is what I need. And I'll just buy it. Or it's small packages. It's been high ticket and low ticket. So it's almost like, okay, I know there's that type of person that exists because I exist. I do those things too. And
Yeah.
making that happen.
Yeah, totally. And like as you're saying that and I'm thinking about my own habits, it's so true. It's that maybe that one post that just sparks something in you, or maybe it's someone that you had attended a workshop with or heard speak like years ago, and like
Mm-hmm.
you haven't even thought about them, and then all of a sudden like they're brought to your attention again and something really resonates. Okay, so you were talking about going deep with your marketing, doing it 50% a day, being really intentional. And when you say that, do you mean just getting like super honed in on your messaging? Because I guess two-part question is, we kind of hear these opposing viewpoints. Like one is like put content out, put content out, put content out. That's kind of like the TikTok model, right? Like post like 5 videos a day, post like every single day of the week, whatever it is. Like it's more about like or quantity, just getting it out there versus like, if you're making that much content, it's hard to be so intentional and deep with each message. So I guess I think you get what I'm trying to ask here, and
Yeah.
like trying to like wrap my head around like what's the right path to take.
And it's a balance. Like it's one, do what you can handle. If you're overwhelmed and stressing out trying to do one post a day, I've switched up. At the moment I'm doing one post a day during the weekdays, but some are super short, like 2 sentence posts, and some are longer and deeper, sharing the journey, sharing the story. So it's really like, how can you have more effective content rather than trying to get 5 posts out and they're very surface level? If you can only get 2 out, but they're deeper and more meaningful, do that instead. So it really comes down to the quality of the content. And maybe you have some surface level posts if you have that as an option, but really spend your time and energy on the content, because surface level posts, I found engaging. There's the posting and then there's engaging, and engaging with other people as well helps just build up your interactions, helps build up collaborations and communities. But sometimes when I'm going out to engage on people's content and I'm like, I don't even have anything to say to this. This is so surface level. I can't comment. You don't want to be creating content like that, because it's a waste of your time and it's not generating any action.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I'm also thinking about like shareable content. Like
Mhm.
I'll often, oops, I didn't mean to hit my microphone. I'll often, screenshot or repost or reshare like little spiritual things that just make me feel good or resonate with me or have like this positive message behind them. So I try to create stuff like that too, but like that, it can come across as really generic sometimes. right?
Mhm. So trying to do the balance, make it your own. And yes, yeah, shareable content sometimes like is great, or tips or advice,
Yeah.
but it's not what's going to move people to buy.
Mm.
It'll help build your reputation with them. So just knowing, okay, this type of content is to build maybe a rapport, maybe this piece of content I am trying to get more interactions with, but it might not be the piece that's going to get people to buy, because they're
Okay.
just going to be like, oh great, I learned.
So what's the piece that gets people to buy? What is that deep intentional content? What is the one that speaks to people? Like give us an example. And it could be an example from clients you've had, or you can totally make something up.
Mhm.
But, for people who are like, okay, what does that mean?
Okay. So, like for example, say I'll just do what's off the top of my head. Like when I was looking on exploring this morning, and people are like, here's how to write content for Instagram. And then they've got these shareable tips. That's something that someone might tag and save and utilize, but they're just utilizing it because it's free and they've got access to it. They may remember you, but then another piece might be like, here's the, like, let me pull up an example. That'll be more powerful. Like this got a bunch of interaction. Your business can't grow if you don't believe it's safe to be successful. So that was one I did on mindset, that got a lot of interactions. People are like, "Oh yes, I know I'm not growing." But then rather than diving into that, I dive into where they are. Like your mindset beliefs that support your success and attracting your clients are holding you back. And then I shared a story of a client. And then I'm like, this is what my program addresses, because it addresses both mindset and business strategy. And then message me for details. So really just speaking to where they are. What are they doing? Okay. What's this first sentence that makes them stop and think, oh, that's me? Maybe a sentence or two. You're just trying to find an example. You attract higher, you're attracting clients, the money's coming in, but you've lost your passion. Speaking to where they are, that they're like, oh, that's me. Yes, I know what that feels like. She gets me. And then diving into a little bit of like, this is what you need. Here's how to get it.
That makes sense. So it's more about
It's about them.
finding their problem,
Yeah.
showing that you give the solution rather than just giving away like free tips.
Yeah. Showing that you get them, that you know how to address it, and you can create results.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I feel like that's just like a gold nugget that you just dropped in this episode. So I hope everyone's taking notes, or at least they're going to re-listen to this.
Thank you.
And thank you for sharing all of this. It's so helpful, and I'm sure so many people are going to find it, incredibly helpful. So, as far as having a business strategy, how far in advance do you have your clients map out their business blueprint, if you will?
Great question. So one thing to keep in mind, like I always have these exceptions. One thing to keep in mind is you're allowed to evolve as a business owner and a business. Just like me, I thought I wanted an agency. I thought I wanted to build this large team. And then while living it, I'm like, you know what? I actually don't enjoy that. So I give my clients the freedom and flexibility to be like, you're creating this plan now, but it's okay if you decide to change it. I don't want them to feel like, okay, this is what I'm locked in on. But I like to set 5-year goals, 5-year plans of what does this look like. 10, 15, I do some mindset work with, but most people don't know what they want that far out. You can set some milestones, but who you are today and who you are in 5 years is a completely different person. So it's like, okay, these are more hopes and milestones and ideas, but let's set the 5-year goal, because that's something that's more manageable, more controllable, and then you can shift it. If you're spending all this time going that far out and suddenly in 5 years you change your mind, that's a lot of wasted work.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And like sometimes, like you said, like a certain dream or a certain goal doesn't resonate with you anymore. And
You
I
can
mean,
change.
yeah. Yeah. You're allowed to reinvent yourself. Awesome. So this has all been so helpful. I appreciate all the free advice you've been giving us. And I want to talk about more of the mindset side of things now, like now that we've kind of tackled the business side. So, how do you help people with their mindsets? You've talked a bit about like what might be holding some people back, but
Mhm.
how do you like really dive in there and help people make that shift?
So I love giving my clients tools that they can use on their own, but sometimes you do need just that extra person, that support. So I use a combination of tools, muscle testing, EFT, emotional freedom technique tapping, NLP, neuro linguistic programming, and then theta healing. So theta healing is something I do directly with the clients, but I can teach them the basics of EFT. I can teach them the basics of muscle testing. I can even teach them some of the foundational pieces in NLP that they can do on their own. But there's that point where your subconscious resists it as well.
Mm,
And that's the benefit of having a coach. I'll dive in with them and be like, okay, let's dig deeper. What's the root core belief holding this back? Whereas someone doing it on their own, even I work with coaches and healers to work through some blocks that I can't get through on my own because your subconscious wants to protect you. So
yeah.
it's a balance of those versus just sitting in a session. Because I do semi-private and private coaching. So only in the private do I do the theta healing because it does take a little bit longer, um, and very personalized, but so immediate. I can do groups with NLP and EFT because we can customize it along the way.
So, what's theta healing? Tell me about that.
Oh, yes. So theta healing is an energy modality. It puts the practitioner, I go into a theta brainwave state and I connect with the creator of all it is and witness healing. So I'm not doing it. I'm going up to the seventh plane and using that energy and that power to help shift whoever I'm working on. They have to, of course, accept it. Um, I use it for mindset work. So I use it for, okay, what are those subconscious blocks? A lot of people have the belief, oh, I have to work really hard to make money, or money is the root of all evil. Like those are so overused, but just a great example. So if someone has the belief I have to work really hard to make money, maybe it's from their multiple generations of immigrants like I am. It was something I had to overcome, obviously. To work 80-hour weeks and make 10K months. Like I just had this belief, oh, I can succeed, but I had to work really hard. So I had to dive in and shift like, okay, where's that belief coming from? What formed that? How do I create that? What do I replace it with? And that's what I help clients with using theta healing.
So, for the theta healing, it sounds like you're going to the brainwave level. You're kind of shifting on behalf of the client. What is the client doing during that time? Is it just, are they like receiving like this energy transfer? Like, what is it?
Yes, so they're just sitting there. They actually end up in a theta state too while I'm in that process.
Mhm.
Um, I love working with intuitive people because they're like, ooh, I felt that. But they don't have to. Like some people are just like, okay. And then we muscle test it. So I always go back to the body and neuroscience. Okay, let's muscle test. Um, do you want me to go into muscle testing or is your audience familiar with that?
Yeah, I mean, we had someone recently talk about it, but there's so many ways to do it, and it was in a very different context. So please, yes, please.
Okay. So I love muscle testing because it's a way your subconscious is most aligned with your body. Your head and your mind are your conscious and your ego trying to control things. But your subconscious and your body are connected. So muscle testing is a way to find out what are your subconscious beliefs. So the muscle testing I love to use is you need to be hydrated. You're going to stand and face north and close your eyes. And you're just going to ask yes or no questions. Yes, you'll lean forward. No, you'll lean back. If you're not getting that response, you need to be more hydrated. There might be something else going on, but usually it's just drink more water, rub your kidneys. So first thing would be like, show me yes, show me no. So I love that because then I can check with clients. And then they were like, I have the belief I have to work really hard to make money. After doing what I'm doing in theta healing, we'll test it. If they still have the belief, it tells me that I didn't get the root core belief. Because once you get that core belief, all the other ones up here will release. And that's the process called digging. That takes more of the time. It's not shifting the beliefs, it's finding the one that's holding everything else in place. Sometimes it's super quick. Sometimes I can shift a belief in like 2 minutes. Sometimes we're spending an hour digging through all of the layers of beliefs to get to the bottom one. And so, yes, they're just sitting there, and then we're muscle testing to check that it's gone.
That's really fascinating. So, okay, so I keep going back to you're doing all the work for the client. So it's really just like a passive thing for the client where all of these years or lifetimes or generations of this belief will just crumble and disintegrate.
Yes, but
right?
they need to give me the feedback. I'm like, okay, what's your first memory of this? Or what does your intuition tell you? Or like, what is the worst case scenario that could happen? So I'm asking them questions, and they're giving me feedback along the way that I can then intuit or work through what's going on with them.
That's really fascinating. So I've heard of like energy healing, like being transferred to them, but never in this kind of sense. So that's why I'm just like very fascinated by it. So, okay, you talked a little bit about other modalities that you use, such as activating intuition, high performance habits. I know you've talked about NLP and tapping. Talk to us a little bit more about that. What about activating intuition? Let's start with that one.
Okay, so that's actually a piece of that's what shifted me. So I always knew I was very intuitive, and I ignored my intuition. I lived in my mind, workaholic, type A, high achiever. And that was the big shift, was when I did I did an intuitive success coaching program, and I'm actually certified in that as well. So that's another coaching modality that I could teach. It's a year-long program, but I take pieces of that to help connect business owners to their intuition, because to me, your business should be helping you live your purpose and passion. And so when you're activated that way, you know where you want to take your business, what inspires you. So like, I completed a year of the intuitive success coaching, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to be a coach now. I need to help other business owners live this. So it's a core piece. It's not because my program is encompassing more as a business owner, it's about a 2-month section of it where we're going through the chakras, we're getting you aligned and connected, but also questioning, what do you really want in life? What are your purpose and what are your passion? I teach people how to just use your intuition. It's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it'll get. So use it in your daily life. If you're going for a walk, easiest way, if you're going for a walk, just get to every corner and be like, should I go left or right? What feels good? Listen to your intuition that way. When you're writing marketing, imagine connecting to your ideal clients. What should I write? What do they need to hear today? Using your intuition in that. When you're sitting down with a new client, does this feel good or bad? Like, you know what? I have doubts. Maybe I shouldn't accept this client. Listen to it. That's your intuition. So it's little pieces as well as the big pieces of how it directs your business and daily life.
Yeah, that really makes sense. And I can see how that would be like a breakthrough moment where you're actually connecting back to yourself, especially when people are so busy and they're just on this grind when they're doing those 80-hour work weeks. And it's like they're getting up in the morning, getting their coffee and sitting down at their computer and just going. And it's like, slow down, reconnect with yourself, kind of tune back in. So I can see how that would be really helpful for a lot of business owners. So
it becomes a day of tasks otherwise. Sorry.
No,
otherwise,
okay.
Otherwise you get caught up in your tasks. All you're doing is completing this task list, and you almost forget the big picture. And this is where feminine and masculine energy comes in. The masculine energy is the doing. The feminine energy is taking breaks. One of my first coaches was like, you need to sit and meditate for 15 minutes. And I was like, I don't have time to sit and meditate for 15 minutes every day. I work like all the time. And this is another thing I say is like, when you're too busy to do the very thing that you need to do that'll help you, that's your sign you need to do it. If you're too busy to go take a walk, if you're too busy to take a lunch break, that's the sign you need to do it. Like, you're getting into fight or flight mode too. So I also like deal with the neuroscience of like the body as well as the energy of just be. Find space in your day. Find some me time.
Yeah, it's the being versus the doing. It reminds me of that little Buddhist quote. It's like, meditate for 20 minutes every day. Unless you don't have time, then meditate for an hour every day.
Yeah.
So what about high performance habits? What habits make a successful entrepreneur?
Oh, I love this. So it depends. It ties back into that very thing. Like, are you taking breaks? Are you, I encourage meditation. I don't require clients to do it. It can be mindfulness. It can be taking a pause, but just having that space in the day for me time. I am a big proponent of a powerful morning routine. So setting that up, whether that's visualizations and affirmations, getting clear on those goals, some movement, exercise, walking, whatever that is. Sort of like the morning miracle goes into a great version of it too. Like those different areas, some journaling, the meditation, just getting grounded before you start your day. Having the first part of the day be, I recommend the first part of the day, but it depends on when you're most creative. Some people are night owls and they're most creative at the end of the day. Finding what your most creative time of the day is, have that be your business time of day. Even if it's just a half hour, an hour, like that's the first thing you do. You don't go answering emails. You're doing this first. If you're not getting enough sleep, how to get enough sleep, go to bed earlier, those sorts of things.
Wait, so on your most creative part of the day, you do the ritual, not the work? Is that what you're saying?
No, you do you're on your business time. So you would do like the ritual beforehand. So depending on if you don't have enough time in the morning, you might need to shift your day to be more powerful. Top high achievers do this. So I used to be a night owl and a morning person. I'd work till like midnight, 1 a.m. And then I was like, oh, but I want to get up at 5 or 6 a.m. So I was getting maybe 4 hours of sleep. Not enough. Not enough at all. You have to prioritize sleep. And this is where some of the mindset shifts have to come in as well. A lot of people are like, oh, sleep is for the weak, or I don't have time for self-care. Like those are things I had to overcome
like,
as well.
who says that? That's crazy.
Sleep is for the weak. Yeah. I'll sleep when I'm dead, those types of things.
Oh gosh.
So I had to learn how to prioritize sleep. So for me, that meant, okay, I love the morning. I'm most productive in the morning. I'm going to go to bed at 9 o'clock at night. That way I get 8 hours of sleep. I wake up at 5 or 6 in the morning. I have time for this routine. And then I go into my business part of the day.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I like that a lot. And what's your morning routine? Just out of curiosity, like what helps you in the morning?
So mine's shifted a little bit. I'm going through pregnancy and I've just let sort of, yeah. I had to just be like, this is a season where I give myself grace. Some days you don't sleep great. It's uncontrollable.
It's so real.
Yes. So I haven't had an alarm since about March. That was one thing I was like, okay, if I need sleep, I'm just going to sleep in. Luckily, sleep's gotten better because I have this great routine. So I'm in bed by 9 o'clock at night. Like I'm trying to wind down, reading, doing the things that are winding my brain down beforehand. At the moment, when I get up, it's right now I'm doing some like pre-pregnancy workouts. So making sure I fit that in. Usually I foam roll in the morning, but I'm finding that's more difficult at the moment. So I'm just listening. Like right now, it's a time of listening to my body. Ideally, doing some foam rolling and stretching in the morning, listening to like an Abraham Hicks video or something inspiring, Joe Dispenza, Brennan Burchard, just something that gets me amped in the morning as well and inspired. Then I have actually a manifestation list. So I'll work on that, go through that. I'll do affirmations and visualizations because visualizations are so powerful. It ties in a little bit of the NLP, using all of the senses and really experiencing it as if it's in now. And then that gets inspired me to then jump into my day.
We sound like we have very similar routines, but it's interesting. I do a lot of mine in the evening because in the morning I'm like just ready to like go and grind and sit. And then I just like, I hit a wall by like 4, and then I'm like, okay, I need to go for a walk. I need to do some yoga. I need to like, I read my little manifestation journal at night. I'll meditate then. Like it seems like as long as you have that in your life to balance out that like
Mhm.
high beta state to like bring you back down.
Yeah, and that's what I tell clients. Like, here's best practices. Find what works for you. So the
Yeah.
fact that you're doing it in the evening, you're getting a whole bunch of stuff done in the morning. As long as you're getting the on your business part done, like yeah, if for you all of those pieces work better in the afternoon, evening, that's fantastic.
Yeah. How are you doing for time? Do you mind if we go a little bit over?
Sure, that's fine.
Okay. How far along are you, by the way?
I'm doing 3 weeks, December 3rd.
Oh my gosh, that's really exciting.
Yeah,
Very cool. You're like a month ahead of me. I'm
yeah.
due in January. That's exciting. Congrats.
It was good until about the last 4 weeks. I'm getting all of like the physical ailments, so it's definitely getting a little real now.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm a back sleeper normally, and sleeping on my side is just so hard.
Oh yeah,
Like it's like killing me. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about NLP because I had a friend of mine who's a coach who used to be an investigator on the police force come in and talk about NLP because he used it a lot when he was like literally an interrogator, and now
Mhm.
he's like, I use the same psychology in my coaching. But it sounds like the way that you're describing NLP, you use it in a different way, and I'm like just really curious how you use NLP.
Yes, so there are different. There's a whole range of NLP, and I'd love to listen to that podcast. The
Yeah,
way
it
there,
just came out
yeah,
last week.
yeah. Oh, cool. So the way I use it is just one particular piece, and so it's again focused on mindset. So whatever this subconscious belief this person has, like maybe it's like, oh, I'm not good enough. Maybe when they were a toddler, they were trying to get their mom's attention, and she was dealing with a crisis or an emergency and didn't have the moment in that time to give them attention. She's like, oh my gosh, not right now. Just I need you to go into the other room or whatever. And they create this belief, I'm not good enough. So this is an example where I would use NLP. I'd be like, okay, what resources did you need in that time? They needed resource of feeling loved. They needed the resource of feeling safe. They needed the resource of feeling secure, or it can be anything. So it's like, okay, what resources did you need? And then we'll go through the senses like sight, sound. What does love feel like? What does it look like? What does it taste like? What does it smell like? Is there a color? And we'll integrate that into their body in this moment, and then go back into that moment and that memory where they were a child and integrate it into that moment too. And then all of those other resources. And so it's helping release that subconscious trauma, that subconscious fear, so that they can then take it along their timeline. So I do NLP timeline work too, where it's either moving forward in the past or the future. So from to this present moment, we give it to them as a child, and then we take it along their timeline from this child to present day and into the future. And that helps clear blocks too, and those beliefs as well, or those feelings. It takes the charge out of that memory.
It sounds a lot like how I've heard people describe somatic work.
Okay.
But it you know, and that's just from me
Yeah.
having conversations like this. But you know, I've heard those types of practices are like life changing. Like they
Mhm.
really, really help. Have you so do people have that like breakthrough moment with you in the office? Like have you noticed that? Like when you do this type of work with them, is it like all of a sudden that limiting belief is shattered, or does it take a long time? Like what do you kind of see?
Yes, we can. Well, I always make sure to clear it immediately. There is the thing that you can come back to beliefs that have been holding you back. You hit it like new level, new devil, or I like to think of it in gaming terms. When you level up, sometimes you re-trigger something that brings back that belief. But otherwise, yes, we clear it in that moment. We release it. That's where tapping comes in as a great resource to support that. With theta healing, I know I've cleared it because I've checked on it. But yeah, NLP. So like one example, I had one client. She told me afterwards, she's like, I was so proud of being the negative person, having a negative mindset, always expecting the worst. And before she started coaching with me, she was trying to buy a business. And so she met with the business owner, and it just like blew up in her face, crashed and burned. They were both just trying, like, neither had the right energy. Both were just trying to get whatever they wanted. She's like, that option's gone. I'm never going to have that again. That was my dream business, but I just blew it and I can't have that back. So after 3 months working together, I think it was about 2 months, this business owner actually approached her and came back and was like, hey, let's restart this discussion. This time, because of the mindset shifts we'd had, she showed up. She showed up in a more positive mindset. She had better expectations. The way she showed up in her energy, it happened. Like, it went through. She bought the business. Spent the next 2 months with her transitioning, and they were friendly together. But it was because of those shifts that we'd done, both in her energy and her mindset, that this business owner came back when it was completely over. It was like, it was a total mess and it wasn't going to happen, to she shifted her energy and it brought back this woman into her life for the ideal solution for her.
That's such a great story. I love that because, so much of it is the frequency that we're on attracts the same kind of frequency, right? And I feel like we all know those people who are just so pessimistic and just like so negative no matter what. And it seems like all these terrible things keep happening to them in their life over and over again. And you want to be like, oh, from the outside, it's so obvious, right?
No.
But no one wants to hear that.
No one wants to hear that. So that's a big thing with coaching too, is someone has to be looking for change and willing to listen. But yes, like, you can shift things right away and have the different energy. You can't control other people, but you can shift your own beliefs and your own energy and see results right away. But it's over time. As it piles up over the next few months, you notice it too.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Awesome. So anything else you want to add about the more mindset, spiritual side of any of this that we're missing that you think would be helpful for listeners?
Yeah. And I know most people know there's something in their mindset or subconscious that's holding them back once they've hit that level. And you can do the inner work on yourself, like it's journaling, it's tapping, and then knowing when there's a point when you need support as well. And I'm not saying like, hey, like, of course I'd love to be there to help you, but like, sometimes it's having an accountability buddy, having someone else that you can like vent with and release with. Maybe you do journaling together. Journaling is another great way to discover what's holding you back and resisting it. Just doing it, it's the awareness, just noticing, hey, I keep saying I want to do this thing, but yet I never make time for it. A great question is, where am I in conflict or in contrast with what I say I want? And just noticing that. So I'd say, like, as a takeaway, like, just start noticing yourself. It's almost like a science experiment. Be curious. Hey, I say I want this thing, but I never make time for it. Or I say I want to do this, but then, like, I say I'm going to grow my business, but then all my appointments to work on my business get taken over by client work. Okay, well, that's in contrast with what I really want. If I'm taking away all my CEO time and spending on clients, I don't value myself. Why don't I value myself? And diving into that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you for that. And I keep thinking back to the muscle testing. Like sometimes on here I'll have people do like a demo, and I was thinking about asking you to do like a little demo with me with the muscle testing.
Sure.
And we could do that if you're up for it, but just before we do, like, is that something people can do on their own to figure out what their own limiting beliefs are? And I know it's so much easier with a coach because they know the right coaching questions to ask, like the right digging, as you said, the right prompts. But
Yeah,
is that something people can do on their own if they're like, I don't even know what my limiting beliefs are?
definitely. So yeah, I'll give you a little task to go with the muscle testing that I love. So I would say first step is make a list of maybe three to 10 things that you want to manifest in your life. 3 goals, maybe definitely business, but also personal, health, whatever it is. So you have that list. And then I'll show you how to do this list. So this is north for me. I'm facing north already. So you close your eyes and you go, show me yes. So I came forward, show me no. You can ask, is my name Bob? Am I a girl?
I want to try it and see if it works.
Yeah. So
and everyone's gonna be like,
yes
look
and
at
no
all the
question.
pregnant bellies.
Yeah, we'll do it together.
Okay, because I've done muscle testing with I'm gonna raise my desk a little, with like a chiropractor, where they were like have me hold like herbs, and then they would like test the strength of my muscles, but I've never done it this way. This is cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just say, show me no.
Show me no. Oh wow, crazy. It does happen. Because this is north for me, actually.
Oh, awesome.
Wow. Okay, cool. All right.
So then you'd go to your list of whatever it is that you want to manifest, like whether it's clients and business, and be like, do I have any blocks to manifesting this? And I got to know, because of course I've worked on these.
Do I have any blocks?
Okay,
to whatever. I blocked.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
So then you'd be like, okay, you'd ask some questions like for me, I would ask, is this personal? Is this past life? Is this generational? Or is this soul level? So there's 4 different questions.
Okay. So we ask one at a time, or
yeah, one at a time.
So is it personal? Okay, I got a yes.
Yeah. So then you would write that down. Okay. And then test, is it past life?
The past life. No.
Okay. Is it generational?
No.
And then is it soul level?
I think it's soul level.
So you have
so what does soul level mean then?
Just, it's a belief that you've picked up along the way, not a particular past life, but just something that you hold as a core belief.
Then what's personal?
Personal is this lifetime, something that's happened in this lifetime that's created it. So you're carrying it from something that happened in this lifetime, plus it's a soul level belief that's holding you back or blocking you from it.
Wait, I'm confused what the difference between the two is. So personal, I've picked up in this lifetime.
Mm-hmm. And soul level, it could be, it's not specifically past life or generational. Let me actually look at my book.
What book is it?
Theta Healing book. So that's where I get them from. I might have to find it to give you the specific breakdown.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll get that for you. And so then so now you know there's blocks, where they are. And so like I would dig into, okay, is it this belief, or what is this belief? Or for you, it's like, okay, if it's this past life, I mean, not this life, this lifetime. So you'd be like, okay, what's the first situation that this came up? And then you'd write that down. So what do you need to clear from that? What's the belief that came from that situation?
And I could see where that would be like working with a coach is like a way better way to do it than on your own. Yeah. Because like sometimes you're like, I don't know, like where to even start. But yeah. But super cool. Awesome. Thanks for walking me through that.
Yeah. And so you just keep digging. Like it could be like, and this is where it's really good to trust your intuition too. Like you could be like, what's a belief that's holding me back? And then you might be like, I don't believe it's safe to have money. And then if you're intuitive and you're like, okay, oh yes, that's a belief that's holding me back, or like those sorts of things. So that's where it is helpful to have someone guiding you, as you said.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I loved this conversation. I feel like I learned so much, and I'm like, I want to come get a session with you. So yeah. And I'm sure listeners are feeling the same way too. So tell everyone how they can work with you, how they can find you. I imagine you're probably taking a little bit of time off right now, but how does someone work with you?
Yeah, so I'm I'm like you. I'm always available to chat. You can find me on my website, alyssawilliamson.com. That's ALYSSA. I actually have two free trainings on there, free guide. One is free guide of 5 steps to live your life of adventure. And one is actually my 3 simple secrets to 25K months. So if you are looking for that, jump on there. Otherwise on Instagram, I'm always active. You can DM me, Alyssa Williamson _coach. And that's where you'll see like the latest updates. And of course, I do free trainings in my Facebook group. So just DM me for access.
Awesome.
I'm getting like baby is taking my breath away.
Yeah, no. Catch your breath for sure.
Yeah.
And all of those links will be in the show notes. So people will be able to get in touch with you there. Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming. It's been such a pleasure. Like I said, I learned a ton. It was great to have you here. And thank you for all the amazing little tips and gold nuggets that you gave away. I appreciate them. I'm sure everyone else does as well. So everyone, check out the links in the show notes for all of Alyssa's stuff, all of my stuff. Please like, comment, share. This podcast is part of the podcast network owned by the Los Angeles Tribune. So we've got a lot of really cool personal development stuff going on. Make sure to tune in, and I will see you all next time. Have a beautiful rest of your day.